Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Street Cop Training Podcast. I'm your host, founder, and CEO of Street Cop Training. My name is Dennis Benito. Today we have a very special guest. We're really excited to have you on, Mike. As I read more of your biography and really looked into you, I'm like, man, we're going to have a good conversation today because I got a funny feeling that we are very like-minded. So if you've never heard of him before, he's got a pretty formidable following on social media. It is Dr. Mike Simpson. And I'll let him give you the 3-minute explanation of who he is and what he does and what he's accomplished.
Thanks, brother. Yeah. So my name's Mike Simpson. I'm a doctor of emergency medicine here in Central Texas. I retired from the military in 2016. Went into the military actually in 1984, probably before a lot of your listeners were even born.
Well, I was born in 81.
Okay. So
you look great, dude, by the way. I thought we were the same age.
Thanks. So yeah, I'm 56. And what's funny is last night on the couch, we were talking. I won't get into the specifics, but we were talking about somebody else who somebody in my family is associating with, and they wanted to know if I knew this person. And my wife said, well, he's 57. He's a lot older than you. And I looked at her, I said, honey, I'm 56. And she's like, somehow I completely forget, because my wife's 11 years younger than me. So she said, somehow I completely forget that you're that old. She said, I'm always thinking that we're right around the same age.
Do you ever be something to be said to having a younger wife to like staying in that younger mindset as well? I subscribe to that.
Absolutely. And I know we're going to get to this later, but I wrote a book called Honed: Finding Your Edge as a Man Over 40. And I dedicated the wife to my book. And I say in it, and people say, oh, it's very sweet, your dedication, but it's really true. I said, my life didn't really start until the day we met. And, having a fresh outlook, I have friends that are my age and even older, but typically the people that I roll with, my posse or my tribe, they're all guys in their 30s or early 40s, and even going down into their early 20s, guys that I do jujitsu with, guys that I work out with, guys that I'm in the shoot house with as a SWAT doc, they're all guys they're a lot younger than me.
It's awesome, dude. I 100% agree that you are really going to behave and feel in accordance with the people that you're spending time with in your social environments. And there's this thing to be said. I'm sure you're very familiar with this as a doctor and an author and all this. I'm sure you have philanthropy in your bio as well. People can look 10 years older. Well, I'm sorry, there's 10-year variables. So they can either look 5 years older or 5 years younger, essentially based on how you're living or how you're feeling, how you're behaving. I'm 40. I feel like when people ask, like,
dude, you look amazing. So I would have thought you were like 33, man.
I was fishing for a compliment there, Mike. So you fucking fit right into that shit.
Boom.
Yeah. So, people say to me, like, especially in like maybe a social setting, like, what are you, like 27, 28? And I'm like, yeah, that's great. That's good. So I try to really, as a matter of fact, at this point in my life at 40, putting a lot of thought into a lot of things and having different behaviors, to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started changing my behavior. I literally, especially when it came to diet, when I was younger, I treated my body like a landfill. I really did. Mm-hmm. And it's, I kind of came around in my later years because I had to, and I wish I would have known then what I know now, and would have had more of an eye to longevity when it came to, what I was putting into my body and how I was approaching working out. And I learned a lot of those lessons late. And that was one of the reasons I wrote the book is, I wrote the book for men over 40, but I've had readers as young as 26 contact me and say, I'm going to put this into practice now. You talk about all the injuries that you have and how you had to learn things the hard way. And I am going to try to benefit from your experience and your lessons learned so that I can have even more longevity. And I think that's really important.
What is the name of the book and when did you write it?
So the name of the book is Honed: Finding Your Edge as a Man Over 40. I was writing it piecemeal for a long time and didn't even really realize it. I was writing it for years. I have a podcast called Mind of the Warrior. And as you mentioned, I've got a little bit of a social media presence. So I was getting a lot of emails. Hey, doc, I'm thinking about getting into jujitsu. I'm 48 years old and I've got these injuries. What do you say to a guy like me? hey doc, I just can't seem to lose 10 pounds. Hey doc, I got lower back pain. Hey doc, I got these injuries and I'm having trouble sleeping. What supplements should I take? And I found out myself regurgitating a lot of this information in emails. And I said, I feel like I've answered these questions so many times. I need to have a place to direct people that I can go, here's the answers to all your questions. But it still didn't quite click. And then during COVID, when I made the decision that I was going to go ahead and write a book, and talking to Tucker Max from Scribe Publishing about what book I wanted to write, I actually had started to write a completely different book. And he said, hey, we've had some conversations about health. When first time I met you, you were talking about, getting up every day and drinking 16 ounces of water and how important that is. He said, that's goes in line with your life and lifestyle brand, Graybeard Performance. What have you ever thought about writing that book? And I realized, I essentially already have written that book. And that's why actually writing the book didn't take me a lot of time, because I had to go through some old emails, go through some old podcast episodes, go through information that I'd already researched. And I just put that together into the book, and it's been very well received. I've been really happy with it.
That's awesome.
But it was published August of last year. So
so it's very purposeful to have a book like that. People can find a lot of value. And, I'm very much an educator, or I shouldn't say that, because I also am an educator as well, but I'm constantly educating. I'm in books nonstop, podcasts nonstop. A book that I recently picked up after hearing, and again, same space as you, it was a book by Mark Sissom. I'm sure you're familiar with Mark is. 2 Meals a Day, which literally the first 3 chapters changed my life. Don't eat processed foods, don't eat carbs, and stay away from sugars. Yeah. And I'm literally in the morning, I'm like, look at this sexy motherfucker. Right? Like, look at this guy with no gut for the first time ever in his life at 40. So at 40, I finally had this unlock of like, oh shit, I can't eat carbs like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not, I've gone through periods where I've been on very strict low carb diets. And, this is a debate that goes back and forth. It's something that Mike Dolce and I have talked about, Max Legavre and I have talked about. It's not, knowing, things like the glycemic index, whether you're eating basically good carbs or bad carbs is kind of key. But the big thing you said right out of the gate, I think, is the most important, is the processed food. And I tell people, if somebody's handing it to you through your car window, that's not how nature intended you to live. So that's probably, now there are ways around that. You can, even here in Texas, you can get a good grilled chicken salad handed through your car window. But most of, 90% of what somebody's going to hand you through your car window is not going to be what's good for you. And even the grocery store is filled with a lot of this processed food. I was recently, I just spent a little over 5 weeks over in Poland and Ukraine, and the grocery stores in Poland, there's not prepackaged meat. You still have to wait in line at the butcher counter. There is I was looking for some stuff like some canned soups, canned chili, non-existent. They don't have that, boxed meals, things like that. They just don't have them. They do have processed cereals, probably because, of kids and stuff like that. But the cereal aisle there is tiny. All of the processed food aisles that we have in the US, with kits, basically meals in a box and stuff like that, non-existent over there. The frozen food section over there it looks nothing like the frozen food section at my local supermarket. It is tiny. There's an entire, here at HEB, there's an entire aisle that you go down that's nothing but the frozen pizzas, right? Every different type of frozen pizza you can imagine. They had 3 different choices for frozen pizzas in the freezer section at the grocery store in Poland. And this wasn't isolated to one grocery store. I went to several grocery stores while I was over there in the immediate. And that was another thing I noticed, is they do smaller grocery stores, but more of them for an area. Instead of having one big central super grocery store, it tends to be a lot of smaller stores in neighborhoods, so it's short driving distance, or previously probably walking distance. And like you say, a real bakery section, a real butcher shop within the grocery store, not a lot of stuff in boxes and cans and in the freezer section.
Interesting. And I just learned about when this quote unquote food sustainability processing came to fruition. I'm watching a program. I sound like an old man. What the fuck am I saying program for? Series that I'm watching is The Food That Built America. Mm-hmm. So I'm learning. Have you seen that on History Channel yet?
No, I'm going to check that out. That's
badass. So I don't know if you still have, if one of the people actually still has cable. Mm-hmm. I do. So if you get like, if you download the History app and then you find a friend who has a cable, this might be illegal to do, but maybe somebody could log you in with their account and you can check it. It was very, very good. It was very interesting to learn about, essentially I like the marketing and all the stuff and the ideas behind it, how things pivoted today. I watched one on, oddly enough, Swanson TV dinners and then Stouffer's coming along and where they pivoted, where they changed, how Swanson gave all this market share because of the microwave. But the sustainability of that, all these foods came out in certain points, namely because of the modernization of cities, industrialization, because they couldn't keep food fresh.
Right.
So they stabilized to last longer and essentially began to poison the country. Ideally, it's just interesting stuff for me to figure out. I'm like, oh, that's very interesting.
It's so another thing that I noticed when I was over there is they do have shopping carts, but nobody uses them. They use the little baskets because everybody shops for one day.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody, when you see people in the grocery store, they're literally getting what they're going to make for dinner that night.
It's interesting.
And then the refrigerator, I was bouncing back and forth through a lot of hotels, but ultimately ended up renting a house while I was over there. And the refrigerator was tiny.
Wow.
And and this was a large family home. This was not a little 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. And it's because for just that reason is the whole concept of we're going to shop for 2 weeks and have all this shelf stable stuff around the house. That's completely alien to them in a lot of European countries. Totally. And although, you certainly see, European countries certainly have their share of health problems, and obesity is a worldwide epidemic. But if ground zero for that epidemic is most definitely the United States.
Oh, no question about it. It's actually become absurd here, and I try not to be too judgmental about it. What I try to do is just educate folks on what I've learned thus far. And maybe 10% of people actually hear some of it and maybe adjust some things. It's something as simple as, hey, stop drinking soda, just opt for the water.
Yeah, exactly. It can be baby steps. It absolutely can be baby steps, and when people say, well, it's expensive to eat healthy, I say, well, how much does a glass of tap water cost compared to a Coke?
How about this? I mean, I don't know if you subscribe to intermittent fasting, but now you're cutting out one meal out of the day and you don't have to pay for that. So you can pay for the other. Like, what do eggs cost?
Yeah. Yeah. And eggs are, eggs got a bad rap for a while, but eggs are actually very healthy, and eggs are a regular part of my diet.
Yeah. I mean, I eat eggs a lot. Actually, we have so I know that you're in Central Texas somewhere, which is probably filled with farm animals, but in New Jersey, I live in a more rural quote unquote place. And I have a woman who brings me 8 dozen eggs every week on Wednesdays.
Awesome.
So, and she's like telling me what she feeds the chickens. I'm like, yeah, I don't, whatever. As long as these are fucking delicious, just keep them rolling. And I get paid $5 a dozen. She delivers $40 a week, but I eat, we go through in my house 4 or 5 dozen eggs, a week.
Yeah. Yeah. That's again, eggs got a bad rap for a long time. And now we've come back around to realizing that eggs are an important part of somebody's diet, especially in that, the whole good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. Yeah, that's a real conversation. But, the fact that gets missed oftentimes is that a healthy person needs cholesterol in their diet, especially, I'm on TRT. I got to the age where I had to go on TRT. So I don't need as much cholesterol because I'm not making my own testosterone, but you need cholesterol. The cholesterol molecule is the backbone on which your body constructs testosterone. So you need cholesterol. It's an important part of your diet. Yeah.
It's so cool, man. I'm just learning. So I'm excited about this portion of my life because I'm finally seeing the thing. I make and prep meals that come with brown rice and chicken. I'm like, how is this not happening? When I'm moving along here, and all of a sudden I start cutting out carbs, sugars, and almost every single processed meat and food that I can ever come across. And I'm like, here we are 6 weeks later. I'm like, I look different. My belts don't fit anymore. I'm like, this is amazing. And if you'd see me, you'd say, you don't look like you're out of shape. But in my mind, I'm not comparing myself to everybody else. I compare myself to me. So I know where I want to be versus where I'm at.
And we live in a day and age too, where you can go on the internet, even if you don't know how, basically, even if you don't know how to cook, and you don't the meal, some of the meal prep might be a little bit pricey for some people. We do home chef in my house, and I also eat some of the freshly meals as well. If you're priced out of that, you can go to Google and type quick healthy chicken recipe, and you'll find something on there that's healthy and takes you like 15 minutes to prepare. And then you just go to the local supermarket and buy some chicken breasts, and you can make that. And
difference
like you said,
like naturally raised chicken versus hormone antibiotic infused chicken. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there is a difference. I don't know. I don't know of any specific studies, specific long-term studies that have really borne out, what the difference is. I can tell you that I taste the difference. When I'm eating farm-raised organic chicken, to me, it just tastes better.
Mm-hmm.
I think, the processed chicken, or I won't say processed, but, the industrial farming raised chicken, to me, has a much flatter taste to it. And and I just don't like it. I like a good organic farm raised chicken. I like the way that it tastes. So, it intuitively, without having evidence in front of me, intuitively, nature knows. Nature took millions of years to figure this out. So, us saying, oh, we're gonna pack chickens into, they're basically can't even walk. We're gonna pack them into these barns that are so absolutely packed. Then we're gonna force feed them antibiotics and everything else. And possibly manipulate them through other chemical means to have bigger breasts and everything else. Obviously, that's not what nature intended, so that's probably not ideal for us to ingest. That's just intuitive, again, and without having a specific controlled study in front of me.
Now, we'll go back a little bit to your bio, and I'm guessing, obviously, you're talking about being in Poland recently, and I'm guessing that you went over there to support Ukraine and the efforts there, I'd imagine.
I did. Yeah. I went over with an organization called Save Our Allies. I got, on a Sunday morning, I got a text message from my buddy, Tim Kennedy.
I knew you were going to say that. We had Tim at our conference in 2021.
Yeah. Tim's a great guy. Guy. Always looking to do good, very selfless individual,
I love the
not
guy.
Selfish individual. Yeah. Everybody who knows him does. All of Tim's haters don't know him. That's the one thing they all have in common. But Tim sent me a text message. He said, "Hey, we're putting together a medical team." Didn't say, "Would you volunteer for a medical team?" He said, "Can you put, feelers out?" No implication at all in the text that, "Hey, I'm specifically looking at you to volunteer for this." I had already been, watching Ukraine on the news, wondering how I could possibly lend a hand. So it took me about 40 minutes to get up the courage to have that conversation with my wife. It took her all of 10 seconds to say, "Yeah, of course you're going. Don't be ridiculous." Went over there with Save Our Allies, and spent most of my time on the Polish side of the border. Did have some excursions into Ukraine, both to find out the situation on the ground and to participate in giving some humanitarian aid. But like I said, I was over there for right around 5 or 6 weeks, all total. Really heartbreaking what's going on over there, but also uplifting in a lot of ways. You see how strong the human spirit is in the form of the Ukrainians, and you see how giving people are in the form of the Polish people, even the Polish government, and people from around the world. I could run through a laundry list of stories of people that I met that are just real heroes, people that uprooted from their life and livelihood. One guy, the guy who's basically running the Medica border crossing point, is a young man from Germany who threw a couple of portable pack-up tents, a generator, and a teapot in his car, and drove from Germany and just drove to the border, and got there and went to work right away using his skill set to help people set up to provide field kitchens and everything else, and sanitary facilities and everything. And since he was one of the first people there, and he's so motivated, this 24-year-old guy basically has ended up being like the mayor of this little de facto town that is formed at this border crossing point. And all up and down the border, all through Poland and all through Ukraine, there's hundreds of thousands of stories of people like this who've just saw this on TV and said, I need to do something about it. It's my responsibility as a human being to participate in this and do the right thing. And really touching. Just it gives me hope for humanity, is what I tell people. Especially you look at all the garbage that's spewed on social media, and I've been guilty of that myself. And then you see these people that are there just doing good, regardless of borders, regardless of language, regardless of religious affiliation or political affiliation. They just want to help people.
Yeah, I certainly feel like my soul aligns in that, and I've been sending money nonstop because I can't leave. I have 4 little children, and I wasn't in the military. And but I know that I can help in some way. Actually, a very good friend of ours is Ukrainian, and he asked for some stuff. And this is not a humble brag or anything like that, but I was like, well, we're going to send him much more than he thought he was going to get from me. And he's like, oh my God, you didn't have to. I'm like, no, I do, because for me, I can't comfortably sit here comfortably and say I'm not doing anything in the life that I live. And one is just at a very minimum freedom. We are continuing on with life here, going to Nashville next week with the crew, like to go party with everybody in my office. We're bringing 17 of our office members here. Not everybody could go to Nashville for a Christmas gift. And,
That's awesome.
I try to conceptualize what the fuck is going on over there and what it must be like to be going through something like that. And I think people here literally have lost touch with the susceptibility of what that would feel like if it came to our territory. And shit gets real fast. And I haven't lost sight of that. So, I do my own self-mental preparing and some obviously physical preparing, but I guess this leads me back to your bio question. Tell them why you were the qualified guy to go over there and provide the aid and assist.
Yeah, as I said at the beginning, I went in the Army 2 weeks out of high school. I raised my right hand. I shipped off to basic training, infantry basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. I did my first 4 years in the military in the 1st Ranger Battalion as an infantryman in an anti-tank section in Savannah, Georgia. And thought I might want to get out and be a civilian. Thought I wanted to actually pursue a career in law enforcement. So got out at the end of my tour, but I stayed in the National Guard. I worked as a corrections officer during that time. I actually tried out for Savannah PD. And then right after I took the written test, the PT test, and did the board, they announced a hiring freeze.
Oh, wow.
And I
might have dodged the bullet there, Mike, just so you know.
It definitely would have changed. But, they say if you're happy with your life now, you should never regret any of the twists and turns in the road previously. So I don't regret that. I moved to Statesboro, Georgia. I worked for a few years as a corrections officer. I was in the Florida National Guard in the 20th Special Forces Group, got mobilized for Desert Storm, Desert Shield, did not deploy, but formally finished my training to become a Special Forces engineer sergeant or demolition sergeant, as we're called. Stayed on active duty, went to the 7th Special Forces Group. I was involved in heavily encounter narcotics primarily in South America, but also in Central America for about an 11-year period. And at one point decided I wanted a different challenge. I went to the Special Forces medics course, became a Special Forces medic. Ultimately, I was a Special Forces intelligence sergeant on a team. So the second highest ranking NCO on a team. When I had finished my undergrad, applied to medical school, and I was actually in the medical school application process when 9/11 occurred, and then got picked up, went to the Uniformed Services University of Health Sciences in Bethesda, Maryland, did my 4 years in medical school, did 3-year residency, military medical residency in San Antonio in emergency medicine, and got picked up for the Joint Medical Augmentation Unit, which is part of JSOC at Fort Bragg. And it's basically the Tier 1 special mission unit, medical unit, directly supporting all of the cool JSOC organizations that make the cover of Time magazine, and they make really cool movies about. So basically got to be back supporting the people at the tip of the spear, kind of almost feeling like I was an operator again, and did that for 6 years, and retired as the chair of emergency medicine at Fort Hood, ultimately because I knew that I wanted to get back here to Texas, and this is where I wanted to put down roots. I'm originally born and raised in California. Don't hold that against me, but knew that I wanted to retire as a Texan, and also this is where my kids were. So came back here, and since I've retired, I've worked clinically for a while. Didn't really do it for me. Started working as a SWAT physician, working in the tactical medicine realm a little bit more, to kind of get back what I felt that I had lost after leaving JSOC, and scratching that tactical itch a little bit. And that's what's really led me to having a little bit of a reputation in the law enforcement community. That, and the fact that I train Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I work with guys like Chad Lyman and Jay Wadsworth, and
Jay's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, Jay's amazing. And,
we're so. And I think that you guys, did you do a podcast with Adam Hadari as well? Police posts. He does police fitness nutrition.
I don't think so. Okay. I think that's it. I've done so many podcasts in the last year. I have a hard time keeping it straight. I've gotten emails from people to say, "Hey man, we want to have you back on," and I got to look up. I'm like, I don't really remember who this person is. And I don't say that, like you said, I don't say that as a humble brag, but my marketing folks, for when I published my book, had me. I was literally doing like 2 and 3 podcasts a week, but I don't think that's one that I've done.
Yeah, so Jay will actually be doing. He's actually working on his course for us right now.
Nice.
A 10-hour in-service classroom on use of force. So he's Excellent. Probably about halfway through his program with us. And Jay's a great guy. I mean, we just had him on the podcast recently, as a matter of fact.
On that subject, in case we don't get to it later, I want to say, because I know a lot of your listeners, obviously, because of the name of the podcast, are in law enforcement. If you ever have a use of force incident and you need a medical expert to come testify, my email is doc@drmikesimpson.com. That's, drmikesimpson.com. Don't hesitate to email me. And if it's a case that I'm comfortable talking about, specifically if we're talking about vascular neck restraint, joint manipulation, things of that nature, I'm more than happy to talk to your leadership. I've done conference calls, with organizations who are talking about prohibiting specific controlling moves, specific positions, prohibiting things like vascular neck restraint. I've done video conferences with local municipalities and leadership at various organizations to explain to them why these are actually safe techniques when done properly. I'm happy to get on a witness stand, to be deposed, to get up in front of a city council or in front of a police chief or police commission anytime. So don't hesitate to hit me up.
It's awesome, man. That's so cool. What's your website, Mike?
So I've got a couple. So drmikesimpson.com. I'm not really using that for much other than it being the first thing that people find when they Google me right now, which happens quite a bit, especially when I argue with people online and they accuse me of, they'll call me, they'll say, "Okay, doctor," and they'll put it in quotation marks. Like that somehow is taking away my medical licensure because they put it in quotation marks. But
everybody's a tough guy behind a screen.
Totally. Oh yeah. I could tell you, I had an interesting interaction with an Antifa individual yesterday that basically resulted in him threatening to sabotage the book reviews on Amazon and call the chief of staff of the hospital where I'm credentialed and everything else. Which I could give 2 shits about. But graybeardperformance.com is the website that I primarily use for my business, Graybeard Performance, which is my life and lifestyle brand. But you can contact me through either of those 2 websites. I do get emails from both of them. So either one is fine if you need to contact me, or if you want to look me up a little bit. They both link to one another, so you can see everything about me.
So at 56 or 57? 56.
56, right? Yeah, just turned 56 last month. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
What does the mission look like going forward 56 on? Mm-hmm. What's the intention and the purpose for, the next 30 years?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And so my overall, my long-term goal, my beyond 30-year goal is I want to live to be 104.
Okay.
Because I said when I was 52 years old, I feel like I got another 52 in me. So that's what I committed to, was 104 years. Um, I want to spread the knowledge that I've gained through my time as an operator, my time as a physician, the research that I've done. I want to help. We really are in a situation now where 50 really is the new 30. That's not just a saying. And I want guys like you, guys like me, guys like guys and gals like your listeners to realize, you work hard, you slog through it, and you get to the point in your life where you're comfortable, but you kind of feel like, they're always saying, you hear phrases like youth is wasted on the young and things like that. And you can have all that. You can have your cake and eat it too. You worked really hard to get where you are. That doesn't mean you need to check out. Keep living. Keep being active. Keep being a savage. You can do all of those things. And what really inspired me when I first came in, when I came in 1984, it was rare for somebody to do beyond 20 years. These sergeants major that you would meet, or these high ranking officers that you would meet who did like 30 years, they were like unicorns. They were almost unheard of. You did your 20 and you got out, and whether that was taking a job on post, teaching somewhere, or starting your own business, or going to work as a law enforcement officer, or postal service, or in a factory, whatever it might be. But people going beyond 20, that was rare. It was like, people, it's like, all right, I made it to 20. That was the finish line. And the global war on terror really changed that. And what we saw was nobody wanted to get out in the soft community anyway. Nobody wanted to get out, and you had operators fighting to stay on teams, guys deliberately sabotaging their promotion packets so they didn't get promoted off of a team, because they wanted to keep deploying. They wanted to stay in the fight, and they were doing it, because in the 2000s, we started to finally get a firm grasp on a proper fitness program, a proper nutrition program, proper supplementation, hormone replacement. We started to see, especially in the tier units, you started seeing, operators in their late 40s, kicking indoors, placing breaching charges, keeping up with guys, in their early 30s. And this was became a not uncommon thing. And that was really inspirational to me, because, I was going back, I went through med school and graduated med school as an intern at age 40. So by the time I got back to the soft community, I was 43 years old. And as I talk about in the first chapter of my book, my last deployment, I was 48 years old, doing 8-kilometer movements in some of the most rugged terrain in northern Afghanistan, with 19-year-old Rangers, and going on targets and getting into firefights. And I could do it, because I did it smart. And people can do this, and I'm not saying, that is the yardstick, that, you're in your 40s and 50s getting into firefights, but it might be you're in your 40s and 50s, doing a Spartan race, doing an Ironman, doing something that really interests you and gets your blood pumping, gets you off the couch and keeps you healthy and keeps you engaged, because as you're keeping physically healthy, you're also keeping mentally engaged, and you can have a lot of longevity. So in answer to your question, I want to spread that message. I want to be an example to people. I want to talk that talk, and I want to walk that walk, so that inspire others to do it, inspire others to have longer, healthier, not only quantity of life, but quality of life as they're living it as well. And that's my mission. I also want, as long as possible, I want to stay engaged, supporting guys like you, supporting guys in law enforcement, as a SWAT physician, as a defensive tactics instructor, providing, expert testimony, to providing guidance to local departments, whether that is guidance in their tactical medics and how they should be doing business, or what are the safe and sane things for officers to be doing when it comes to defensive tactics. Some of the most enjoyable classes that I give to my SWAT operators is when I talk to them about diet and nutrition. I love teaching them to put on tourniquets and chest seals and do casualty carries and all the other stuff. But the thing I know that they're really going to get something out of long term, and they're going to possibly even take back to their family, is, when I give them classes on, hey, this is how much protein you should eat every day. This is how many glasses of water you should be drinking every day. These are the supplements that you should be taking. So, to me, that's just really worthwhile. And I want to continue to spread that message and spread that knowledge and share the knowledge that you, the taxpayers, basically gave me over a 32-year military career. So it's time for me to continue to be a force multiplier, even as a civilian, and to share that knowledge back to all of you.
It's awesome. I recently, obviously you live in Texas. There was an article that came out, I don't know if you're familiar with it, that the Texas Highway Patrol is now implementing some discipline for what they quoted.
Is this the waist size thing?
Yeah. So overweight and out of shape troopers who actually, according to their standards, are passing their physical agility exam.
Yeah.
But, and I know where people's first thoughts go to, like, this is too critical. You gotta let people be the way they are. But I'm hoping, I don't know much about the program, what they plan on doing, but also educating as to why it's important. So there's probably more to it than what the news is actually articulating. And I really am somebody who's an advocate for people to improve. And, sometimes I find myself bashing my head against the wall because I'm so eager for people to know what I know. And because I'm finding so much joy and pleasure and so many unlocks in life and the stuff that I'm doing, that I'm like, hey guys, like, don't fucking drink soda. Right. Hey guys, like, do you know that eating ice cream is called a sugar bomb? And like, it's like, if you could just forego that shit, like, it'll just be better. And, if you do an hour a day in the gym, that's an hour less in the future at the doctor's office when you can go now or you can go later as an old person. And then, by the way, guess what? You don't really get to choose things on your terms as an old person, because you got to go with whatever your insurance covers, and you'll be sitting there in pain and misery the whole time. Yeah. So that's how I'm trying to live my life and just pass along that message.
Yeah, it really is. It's pay now, pay later is what is, one phrase. And the other one is choose your hard, right? So, you can choose your hard. Your hard can be sweating and breathing hard and, just feeling absolutely spent in the gym doing a hard workout, or it can be sweating, breathing hard, feeling absolutely spent as you collapse in a movie theater, clutching your chest from a heart attack, 10, 15 years from now. So I'd rather be doing it in the gym. I mean, that's just me. I made a social media post today. It was actually a repost that I've done before, showing two hearts that have been taken out of a human chest. One, relatively healthy, the other covered in fat deposits. And that was ultimately, it's a long story, but that was ultimately the post that made me have to leave Twitter, because Twitter was censoring me, but because what I call the comorbidity mafia was basically coming after me with torches and pitchforks and accusing me of fat shaming and a lot of other things, even though I specifically said in the post, I'm not fat shaming. And here's why I'm not fat shaming. They didn't care. They came after me. And it got a lot of traction on Twitter, which is how it got their attention. And from time to time, it would get people had screen captured it and they were reposting it on Instagram. And finally, I reposted it not long ago, and then I did it again today. And somebody in the comments specifically mentioned that DPS trooper waist size issue. And I haven't done a deep dive because, again, literally an hour ago was the first time that I heard about it. But just on the surface, just on surface level, and you talk about, we talk about the fit fat, right? The people that and I was a fit fat person. So let's go back in time to late 2019. I was a fit fat person, right? I unbeknownst to me, because I hadn't been on a scale, I weighed probably right at 200 pounds. I'm only 5'6", mind you. I weighed probably around 200 pounds. I went to a 4-day course with Chad Lyman and Jay Wadsworth. And every day I was on the mat. I gave up my lunch hour every day to do full-on pressure testing rolls, jiu-jitsu rolls. And I held, I was taking Motrin, but I made it through. I was the oldest guy in the room, and I was the only non-police officer in the room. And I made it through that 4 weeks to become, to get my certification as a C4C instructor. And I felt great about myself. And I took a day off. And then after taking a day off, I went out to my garage, and I have a 30-minute full on kickboxing routine that I do that involves basic sprawl. So basically burpees in between. It's a high intensity 28-minute cardio workout. And I did that high intensity 28-minute cardio workout and I kicked its ass. I'm like, man, I am in amazing shape. I feel so good. I went in, I took a shower and I stepped on the scale and I'm like, oh, this scale has to be, and it said 197 pounds. And mind you, this was after 5 days of intense work. So I was probably over 200 pounds at the beginning of that week. I'm like, no, there's no way this is right. And we got another scale in our house. I got on that same thing, 197 pounds. So I was a fit, fat person. I was able to do all that stuff, but I was fat. And I'm like, this is not sustainable. You know, knowing what I know about the human body, knowing what this meant about the fat deposits on my organs, about what my arteries probably looked like, I had to do something about it. So to those DPS troopers who are exceeding that waist size and say, hey, what the hell? And I don't know what their physical requirement is. I'd have to look into it. Yeah, you can probably do it. But think of this as the difference between a semi-trailer going 55 miles an hour with the back compartment completely overloaded, as opposed to that same semi-trailer going 55 miles an hour with no trailer attached at all, right? Yeah, it can do it either way, but what's the strain that's going on your joints? What's the strain that's going on your cardiovascular system that you're going to have to pay for later? So don't think about what you can do. Think about your longevity. Don't think about swimsuit season. Think about longevity. Think about your arteries, your organs. And it might not seem like it, but this is actually the state and your department looking out for you 20 years after you've retired, because, they want you to set up those healthy practices now, not to mention the fact that you're going to look better in your uniform. You do represent your department to the public when you're out there. So you're just going to look better. Not to mention the fact that you might have to go through a window or over a fence or something like that. And it's just going to be a lot easier for you and a lot better for you if you can slim down and get to your ideal weight. So don't say, I can do it. And honestly, again, not knowing what their physical test is, maybe it's easy. I mean, when I retired from the United States Army, it's, a 2-mile run is what you do as part of that. You do a 2-mile run, or you do 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and then you do a 2-mile run. And people would say, how much do you run? I say, I run 4 miles a year. I run 2 miles for my PT test. And 6 months later, I run 2 miles for my PT test again. And I was able to pass, and this, so that's it. It obviously is, in my opinion, the Army PT test was not a hard enough test, which they almost remedied and then didn't, with the ACFT, and they finally, caved to peer pressure and made the ACFT easier, which is a shame, because I took the ACFT a year after retirement. I had somebody get me all the events. I had my coach administer to the test, and I got a 501 on it, in my mid 50s, after retirement. So, and again, I don't know what their test is. Maybe it is legitimately hard, but even if it is, don't be a fit, fat person, because it's in the long run, it's just not good for you.
And I think people are living for the now and not realizing they're gonna have to pay the piper later on.
Yeah.
You start crawling up 50 plus. I'm watching it. I come from a very, very significantly unhealthy family, and I'm watching it. I'm just like, literally, I've got tickets on this, and I'm like, it's not going to be me. That's for sure. There's no, as long as I can help it, outside of terminal unfortunate illness or some kind of unfortunate series of events in my life that may cause some kind of physical damage or mental damage. Mm-hmm. I'm playing for the long game now.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I feel fucking better than ever.
Yeah.
And I told my wife the other day, I said, I honestly feel better at 40 than I do at 21, than I did at 21. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah. I feel amazing at 56. The only thing that I have an issue with right now, I actually, in about an hour after you and I sign off, I have to go to a doctor's appointment. I'm going to have surgery on my right hip from a lifetime of putting miles on it.
I was going to say rucksacks and all that shit, right?
Yeah, rucksacks. And it's my right hip. So it's my power hip, right? It's the knee that I take on patrol. It's the foot that I plant to get power when I throw a punch. and everything. It's, it's my power kick in fighting. It's everything. So it's the time has come to pay the piper on that. I was told about 3 years ago that I was going to need surgery. I was able to put it off for about 3 years, and then I got told about 9 months ago, hey, you're getting closer. When it becomes a quality of life issue, that's when we're going to pull the trigger on surgery. And it's now become a legit quality of life issue. I have more bad days, more bad hours in a day than I do good ones. I'm still able to, I still work out 4 times a week. I have taken a break from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because that was specifically aggravating it. But I'm going to get this fixed, and I'm going to do my rehab, and I'm going to be right back at it. And I'm telling my surgeon, don't give me the hip you think a 56-year-old should have. Give me the hip you think a 36-year-old should have, because that's a level of, I'm still, once I do my rehab, we have, I'm medical director for a local SWAT team, and I do the same physical test that my medics do, because I think you have to lead from the front. I think that's important. So I'm still going to have to climb that wall and do that shuttle run and drag that dummy and jump through that window and everything else. So I want to be able to do that. And I want to be able to set the example. And so I want a hip that's going to allow me to do that. And that's the hip that I want. But like you say, I worked really hard. Although I loved it and I wouldn't trade even a second of it. There were some hard days in my 32-year military career. And now I want to reap the benefits of that, and not just by sitting on the couch and watching TV, or sitting in a boat and casting a fishing pole. Although, if that's your thing, hey, that's your thing. But I want to be able to go to the range and pass my knowledge on to others, and to continue to gain more knowledge, because there's things about shooting that I don't know that people have found out. And there's things about fitness that I don't know that I'm learning all the time. And, I'm only a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I want to be a black belt someday, and that's going to happen. I'll be in my, my early 60s probably when it happens, but it's going to happen because that's the life that I want to lead. And, not sedentary, counting down the days, just waiting to die. That's not a way to live,
No.
And the first half of your life is earning that second half, and the second half should be about doing whatever it is you want, and if you want to sit on the couch, fine, but maybe that's not what you want. And I tell everybody, even if you just want to relax and fish or whatever, have an exercise program so that you can fish for decades instead of just a few years.
That's real good. I mean, I'm not on the road anymore. I have retired, and I come to an office every day, and office is big enough. The bathroom's far away, get some walking in, but I'm recognizing that sedentary behavior is actually worse than smoking. That's, I believe, is a proven fact, right?
There was I don't know if it's a book, but I know there's been articles written with the title "Sitting is the New Smoking."
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe a little bit of humble brag here. I am very proud that I work out powerlifting twice a day.
Awesome.
Try to get in 7 days a week. And I always tell people when they're like, how the fuck do you do that? I'm like, well, because I've decided I'm going to do that. It's not like something like some God came down and spoke with me. I just started having revelations of how do I do more? How do I accomplish more? I'm even toying with the idea of working out 3 times a day. It's going to be a little difficult because I've got a lot. I'm not making excuses, but I've got to really try to figure out how I'm going to piece that together and where there's time in the day. People are like, oh, you got to give your body a break. Like, you know what? No, I don't. I feel fucking great. I wake up with a fuckload of energy. I just start my day with a cup of coffee. I meditate, have a cup of coffee. It's a new hack. I was timing where my coffee is going to be during the day. I just like black coffee. Dude, I don't eat like nonstop, but I love a black coffee, like a good black coffee. Like it's like my favorite dessert. Well, I tell people there's so much margin for error here too. So I try to explain to people, like, if I'm working out 14 times a week, I essentially could miss 4 days and still have 520 workouts in a year.
Right.
I'm sorry, 4 sessions. And so that leaves me margin for error. Like today, I was just texted before we got on this thing that, hey, we're going to my uncle's house tonight. I didn't get to see it today. I screwed my day up. Can you come? Yeah, I'm not going to work out tonight, but I'm going to tell you, I will work out tomorrow. I worked out this morning and I'm going to work out, every single day until something else comes up. That's and I preach about that. I talked about it on my podcast this week. I didn't, and the previous week, I did not work out when I was over in Poland and Ukraine. And I don't,
I make no excuse for that. It's, I knew going over, I basically had, I went with a backpack. I went with 4 sets of clothes.
Yeah.
No workout clothes. So, I had the shoes that I was going to wear every day, and I was in a situation a lot of times where it's like, do I want to break a sweat knowing that I'm going to have to wear this set of clothes again in a day or two? Probably not, and I was staying, some of the hotels that I stayed in were basically hostels. But again, if I would have made it a priority, I could have got up 30 minutes earlier. I could have done planks. I could have done air squats. I could have done some push-ups. I could have done some burpees. You can do that. I've been in hotels that don't have gyms, and I've been in hotel hallways doing body weight exercises.
Sure.
You can do that. With my hip, running isn't really an option anymore, but there's other stuff that you can do. And, going into the end of last year and the first part of this year, I was doing my 4 strength and conditioning workouts every week. And then I was going to Monday, no gi jujitsu, Tuesday and Thursday night, gi jujitsu. And then if I had time and energy, getting in another one in there, not to mention what I was doing on the second and third Wednesdays of every month, which was SWAT training. So I was getting quite a bit of physical activity. And I know, by the way, when I go to jujitsu at night, I go to both the beginner class and the advanced class. So I'm really getting 2 workouts in. So on those days, I'm getting 3 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, because I'm doing a strength and conditioning and 2 jujitsu classes. And again, I'm not doing the jujitsu now because I'm trying to give my hip a break, but I will get back to that again after my rehab. And that's the schedule that I'm going to be doing, a minimum of 4 strength and conditioning workouts. I always try to do, I don't like to take more than 24 hours off. So I'll rest on Saturday. And then Sunday, I'll do something brief. I'll get up before everybody in the house is up and do that 30-minute, HIIT routine, something that's pretty short, but I can get a really good sweat, get my heart rate up, burn about 500 calories.
It all adds up.
Yeah. And by the time I'm getting out of the shower, the rest of the house is getting up, and I can go grab breakfast for everybody. We like to have a big family breakfast on Sundays, which in Texas usually means some amazing breakfast tacos or some, I love migas. So, we go get migas, something of that. And, I don't deny myself, during the week, I try to eat really clean, and I don't go crazy on weekends. I'll give myself a little bit. But it's not, that's the big thing, big problem. I saw a meme about this not too long ago. It was like my diet during the week. And it's like, it's, the horse, the drawing of the horse that, it's a really good drawing. Here's my diet during the week. Here's my diet on the weekend. And it looks like a 3rd grader drew it. I don't do that, but I will let myself, go out and have, even when I have a restaurant meal, I get the smaller filet. I don't feel that I need to get a 20-ounce steak. That's not, for somebody my size, you shouldn't be eating that much, or I'll get a salmon fillet and vegetables. I don't load up on pasta. I don't have the big loaded baked potato. I don't have the Oreo shake at Applebee's. You don't have to, just because you're eating out, there's always healthier options if you look for them. Even if you go to McDonald's, you can get a grilled chicken salad or a grilled chicken sandwich, right? Is it as healthy as something that you would make at home? No, but is it the healthiest option if it's, late at night and you're out on the road driving from point A to point B? Yeah. You don't, just because McDonald's was your only choice doesn't mean the number 1 combo with an apple pie to finish it off is what you have to get. You can make healthier choices on that menu.
One thing that I think that you and I both share is, and I was picking up on it, and people in here actually know that I recognize this so well, that they are very, very careful and tiptoe around something that I am very adamant about. And I try to give this as a good piece of advice to everybody. And again, I know you know this already, but a lot of people here are younger in my staff, and they're looking for advice on life and to really watch the progression of how people have really blossomed. It's very, very rewarding for me. But I always advise people that recognizing excuses is probably one of the most important skills to possess in life, and namely your own.
Yeah.
And, you were doing a fantastic job of like, I know I could have. I do it too. And it even makes it hard for me to explain things, because when you start to understand what excuse looks like, my friend did it. My best friend and I were talking this morning. And he messaged me something after we got off the phone because I love him. He's like, he's like my brother. And he said, I know I sounded negative, da, da, da. And I go, no, you didn't. Because I'm a positive guy. I said, I'm probably a little jaded because I live in a little more of a sheltered world. And I have probably lost touch a little bit with the things that you guys are experiencing in the field. But my job is to not sit here and cry and bitch and moan with you. My job is to lift your spirits and remind you of the good things in life and to give you the training and information that you need to be successful at this career. It's difficult. It's always been difficult. It just appears more difficult nowadays because of social media. But recognizing excuses is one of the most powerful tools. And when you can consciously start to acknowledge what those look like, they're amazing, right? Today, somebody said, well, it'd be really hard to find somebody who was good. I go, and there's your first excuse. Really hard and impossible are two different things. It'd be impossible for me to fly to the top of the Empire State Building in Manhattan 40 minutes from here. I can't fly physically. It's impossible. But it's not impossible to think that I could climb it one day. That's a reality. I don't want to. I have no interest in it. I'll express that. But so recognizing what excuse sounds like, I see, we see people around here misbehaving with food. Oh, it's one of those days. I got to have this. Do you?
Yeah.
An excuse?
Yeah.
Is that an excuse? I feel, feeling a little sluggish today. I don't know. Maybe I will just work out tomorrow. All right. I mean, I'm telling myself, I'm like, you, sir, are a bitch. You want to look this way. You want to this and this, and you want to feel this way. And you're going to sit here and you're not. Sometimes it's like 7:50 at night. I'm like, who the fuck wants to work out at 7? I go to bed, Mike, at like 9:45. I'm in bed. I'm panicking if my eyes aren't closed by 10:30. Right? If I'm not sleeping by 10:30, I'm in a straight panic because I wake up at 5:30.
I'm the same. I don't get up that early, but I try to get to bed early.
7:50. I'm like, you know what? Get the fuck up and go downstairs and put 40 minutes in, and I'll do it. And I'm like, this sucks. But at the end, I'm just thankful that I did it 3 days later. I'm like, I'm glad I pushed myself.
Yeah, I've never walked out of the gym sweaty going, God, that was just such a colossal mistake.
I know.
It's
very good.
Never happened to me. And a couple of things kicked off my mind while you're talking about is, we talk about a fat shaming, something that I've been falsely accused of. What people forget is fit shaming is a real thing. And what fit shaming stems from is, or one of the things that'll get piled on when they fit shame people is they'll bring up average, right? Well, the average person is this is what's, you're holding people to unfair standards because the average person, okay, that's average, but it's not normal. Okay. So don't get it twisted. Don't confuse average and normal. The average person is obese. The average person is overweight. The average person is not in good health, not in good shape. That's not normal. That's not a normal state of being. That's just average because that's what we become as a society.
Right.
I think it was maybe about 10 years ago now, maybe even longer. There was a woman that posted a picture of herself she was a fitness influencer. I don't think we were using that term back then, but she posted a picture of herself in workout attire or swimsuit, I don't recall which, with her kids. And she said, I'm X years old. I have 4 kids, 5 kids, whatever she had. I work out this many times a week. What's your excuse? And she got crucified by the media. And what's funny is I read some of the articles of people, basically crucifying her, and they said, and those articles were filled with exactly what she said, excuses. Well, I have this and I have this and I have my own business and I have this and I have, those are all excuses, and Jocko Willink says all of your excuses are bullshit. That's why I don't make, I gave you the reasons, which are actually excuses that I didn't work out, during the month of March, and they're excuses. And I recognize that bottom line is at the end of the day, I did not make working out a priority. I was making other things a priority, and every day I was recognizing that. That's the first step to making change is, and you illustrated a great point too, is, saying something is hard is not this is not at all the same as something being impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. And in this day and age, things are a lot more attainable than people realize. You know, resources, you know, Google body weight exercises, and you'll see body weight exercises you can do in a relatively confined space, on the road or anywhere else, to get in shape. You know, you can Google nutritional tips. There's so much free stuff out there when it comes to fitness, whether those are YouTube videos, you know, there's a lot of fitness apps that if you get in, if you don't even get the paid version of the app, you can get it relatively cheaply. You know, what is it you are spending your money on that you could instead be spending it on, if not a gym membership, just buying yourself a couple of kettlebells and subscribing to the Softfleet app, or subscribing to the 4 Pillars Fit app, you know, that Tim Kennedy's associated with, or one of these other apps. There's a ton of them out there, and I've thought about doing my own, that you can subscribe to, and they'll give you a fitness program that you can do, and your phone's going everywhere with you anyway. And let's be honest, you're already spending too much time on it, on social media and on news apps and everything else. Now you can use it for something positive, you know, and that's on my home screen. All of my fitness stuff is on my home screen. When I'm tracking my macros, the chronometer's there. My in-body assessment is there. I was using True Coach. Now I'm using Coach RX through OPEX Fitness, which is where my coach works and where I work out. My MyZone app is right there on my home screen. It's all right there. All my important shit is on my home screen. The Signal app, because that's how I do, communications when I'm overseas, and how I do communications with the members and the leadership of my SWAT team. All of my fitness stuff, the Apple Podcast app is right there, because, you know, that's what I want to hit when I get in the car. You know, my Apple Maps is on the home screen. All your important shit is on your home screen. So, you know, we talk about, and you talked about earlier about how you are who you hang around with. You're also what your home screen is. So look at what's on your home screen, and that's going to tell you a lot about what you've prioritized in life. If you look, and if your home screen is Open Table and DoorDash and a lot of other shit, maybe you need to rethink your life choices.
Mine just has Pornhub on it nonstop.
At least you're honest.
I'm married with 4 kids, of course. Yeah. I'm honest. The one thing I want to say is, quoting Les Brown, is do what is easy and life will be hard. Do what is hard and life will be easy.
Yep.
So
yep.
But listen, Mike, what else do you want to promote? I know you're on Instagram. What else do you want to get out before we end this podcast episode here?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. Dr. Mike Simpson is my handle, with a DR, not doctor spelled all the way out. Graybeard Performance. I'm really trying to build a following around Graybeard Performance. I took a long break in posting on that Instagram account, and I'm really through the next portion of this year. The last 3 quarters of this year, I'm really going to kick myself in the ass and be more active on my Graybeard Performance social media account, and also with my marketing, to get the life and lifestyle message out there, and to get my supplements into the hands, into the bodies of the people that can benefit from them. I have 2 supplements in my supplement line now: Longevity Formula, Energy Formula. Vitality Formula is going to be launched this year. And ultimately, I'm going to have 7 supplements in my supplement line. So you can look for those to be rolled out over time. I just, and buying my book on Amazon, Honed. And please, if you buy my book, please write me a 5-star review and just write a sentence of why this book was good for you, because that helps others decide if they want to follow down that path as well. But I want to use my knowledge for good, and I'm saying that with full knowledge of the fact that I am an asshole, and yeah, I act like an asshole to people sometimes on social media. But please don't take it personally. I do. If we ever meet at the gym. If you're ever pulled over on the side of the road, I'm the type of person that'll pull over and help you change your tire. If you're ever in the gym, I'll give you a spot, give you some encouragement. And if you ever need anything, man, I answer emails from podcast listeners and from social media followers all the time. I'm always happy to answer those emails. It makes me feel good when I can make a difference. And, even if it's just a small difference in somebody's life.
That's awesome. And what an honor it is to have met you today. And
the honor is mine, sir. Thank you.
I can't thank you enough for coming on to this podcast and doing this and sharing some wisdom and knowledge with the law enforcement community. It goes out to a lot of people. We have 330,000 subscribers to the podcast. So
wow.
Yeah, dude. I was like toying with it last year, and then like they brought the numbers in, and I'm like, what? What are you fucking talking about? They're like, yeah, no, we got like that sounds like 110. I'm like, we're literally dicking off with this thing.
That's
and
awesome.
I said, all right, well, if we're gonna, now we're gonna triple threat this motherfucker. And I'm recording two, just like I work out twice a day. We're doing 2 podcasts a day. Just keep it going because people are finding value. I don't want to deprive them of that value. I want them to continue to feel like they're getting value. And this afternoon, we'll have a guy for a part 2 series. He was a police officer in Massachusetts near the Boston area who was shot 6 or 7 times point blank in the belly.
Wow.
Wild fucking story. So he's now a speaker. He's going to speak at our conference.
What's his name?
His name is Mario Oliveira. So
okay, I was thinking it's not. There was another guy who was shot 6 or 7 times. I don't know which that I was on the tactical breakdown with, but I don't think it's the same guy.
Were you with a guy from Texas?
Yes.
Was it? I
have to go back and look.
Was he a rural Texas cop?
Yeah, older guy.
Okay, yeah, no, so it's a different guy.
This guy's hard as Superman's kneecaps. Oh, I know the guy you're talking about. The guy you're talking about was Office of the Attorney General was serving a warrant.
No, it's another one. There's a let's face facts. There's a fuckload of guys who were shot in the line of duty.
How many times it's happened?
Yeah, this guy tells a crazy story. It's wild. Actually, if you go into put his information into YouTube, he's got real cool videos to watch about him and this doctor who worked on him, and the doctor then died and met somebody. It's a wild story. I think they did like a 30-minute episode on it. Pretty sharp shit. Yeah, he tells a great story too. So it's part 2 of him this afternoon. And people wrote in after that. They're like, yo, I was fucking crying during that. I'm like, well, yeah, imagine being a host of the goddamn thing. This guy's telling you about what he went through. And the compassion that's pouring out of my body. But
yeah.
Mike, it was a pleasure meeting you, man. I hope that you don't forget about us.
I will not.
All right. Appreciate it, man. Maybe in a year and we reach out, maybe sooner, who knows? We're just like, oh yeah, I remember you. You're that guy who works out twice a day. All right, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, anytime anytime you need input that I can, provide, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Well, I think there's always going to be something. I'm sure that we're going to get in touch again because we do have a course that's taught by a medic who does a tactical medicine course. And it's a really, really beneficial course. This guy was same thing. In support of special forces, flying 75 combat missions in Afghanistan. Awesome. He's a paramedic and a paramedic instructor in we have all these guys that have come forward and want to help. So I'm sure at some point we'll be reaching back out to you to see if you want to collab with us and do some cool shit. The guy's name's Sean Barnett. He's out of Oklahoma City.
Badass.
Yeah, he's a great guy. My neighbor around the corner, actually, with me thinking about it, he is a urologist and a surgeon here, but he's also I believe he's a general now in the Army.
Oh, no shit.
He's attached to a unit. He looks like David Goggins, this motherfucker, right? Like he's like my Goggins neighbor. And
yeah,
he has been deployed. I think he did like 9 deployments because he's a field surgeon.
Yeah.
And him and his brother. So they're twins. Actually, you Google their names, they'll come up. They've been in like Dr. Oz and all sorts of shit. So his
awesome.
name, yeah, he actually just gave me a flag, bro. We're actually having it mounted. It was an American flag that they had from Afghanistan that he came back. He brought like 6 of them back, and he brought one back for me.
Very cool.
And then it has like this whole dedication to it. It's really tight.
Nice.
I was like so fucking pumped to get it because I'm a goddamn patriot, man. Like, you know what I mean?
That's badass, man. That's awesome.
Hey, man, have a good one. Stay safe out there.
You too, brother. All right.
See you.
Yeah.